Samir, can you give us a brief introduction of yours?
Yes, sir. I'm Samir. I was born in Amritsar.
Okay.
My father is a businessman.
Yeah.
My mother is a homemaker, and I have a sister. She's married, and she has a daughter. And sir, my strength is hard work and honesty.
Okay. You are hardworking and honest. Okay. You are from Amritsar, Samir.
Yes, sir.
You are from Amritsar. Have you heard of this Jallianwala Bagh massacre?
I've heard about it.
You've
sir.
heard about
Yes.
it. When did it happen?
Long back, sir. I do not remember the exact
It's long
date.
back. You do not have an idea about the date and all.
Yeah.
No.
Early 1900s. Yeah.
Early 1900s, before India became independent.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now I'll come back into it. Now, believe me, you might find this funny. What Samir just said is said by so many people in the introduction. Now, just think about it. What are the things that he said? He said, "I have a sister who has got a daughter. I've got a father who is a banker. I've got a mother who is a homemaker." So, of those 20, 30, 40 seconds, he wasted much of the time giving me irrelevant details. Irrelevant details in the sense that, I mean, it's good, but what use would I have of these details? He could probably have used this time in giving me some details on which I could have asked questions. I can ask questions about his family as well. That's okay. But the only real thing that I could remember is, apart from that he is hardworking and honest, was Amritsar. He was not prepared on Amritsar. So I'm not saying he could not have continued the interview from here. He could have. But you say something like that and they're not prepared on the hometown. What does that mean? It means you're not prepared. You find people like that in an interview like this. So many people just throw it away by not preparing.
In just first minute, it ends your interview more or less here. When you blabber like this, what I have just shown you, it's done, khatam. Now उसके बाद वो आपके साथ time pass करेंगे, because ऐसा भी नहीं लगना चाहिए कि they are rude or to you. They will ask you couple of questions just to make you feel good. They know by now कुछ करके नहीं आया लड़का.
Absolutely.
Interview में तो will not give him any mark. Maybe he has done exceptionally well in his written. He might pull out from there. But this was a perfect example, and I can tell you, out of whatever 1500, 2000 form that we have seen, there are at least 100, 150 forms like the introduction I have given you. I have not made it. I read from those forms and I gave you this answer.
So we'll give the benefit of doubt, thinking that many of you were thinking that this is not the introduction that you'll give in an actual interview, but also speaks volumes about you. This is not to discourage you, this is just to give you an example that a lot of people make this mistake at the beginning, though interview has to be the question where you have to start making the mark. As Samir already said, it will happen that they'll still give you 5 minutes, ask you random questions, easy questions, and you'll feel, interview तो मेरा अच्छा हुआ था, सब कुछ आंसर किया था. अच्छा इसके लिए हुआ था, you thought that you answered because they, when it comes to the level, they realize ज़्यादा कुछ इसका आंसर होगा नहीं, when he does not know about Jallianwala Bagh. So they asked you simple questions, you answered, 5 minutes में खत्म हो गया. What if they ask you to go out after a minute? You'll feel bad. So they'll not make you feel bad like that. You're getting it? So that's how it will be different. Now, I'll ask this question again to Samir, and with his profile, we'll show you what he should say, or what is the kind of stuff that he should talk about. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. I am Samir. I am born and brought up in the holy city of Amritsar. I am a chemistry graduate. Okay. Yeah. I am a team worker, and I like to play and watch badminton.
Okay, so you are from the holy city of Amritsar.
Yes.
Right. Have you heard of Jallianwala Bagh?
Yes, sir. It is one of the most important events in the history of Amritsar, I should say.
I did not talk about the massacre. I talk about the Bagh. What is this?
Yeah, it is a place. It's a place where people. Well, now it has become a memorial. Now, as people know it, it is famous only for the massacre. But yes.
What was it about? Please tell us something about it.
It is a park. It was a park where social gathering used to happen. Festivals were celebrated, and things like that.
What is this massacre about? When did this happen?
Sir, what happened was, it happened first of all in 1919. It was 13th of April. That was the unfortunate day when it happened, when General Dyer decided to impose the martial law, and he just came up and fired on the innocent people without even giving them space or wanting to move. the background is little sad. What happened was on the 10th of January there was a peaceful protest. Even before that, if you know, so in 1919 Gandhiji was already very active, and Satyagraha had taken place at a lot of places. People were coming up with the peaceful protest. So what happened after this protest? A couple of leaders were arrested, and that provoked people in Punjab, and they attacked the government.
So you are trying to say, Samir, that General Dyer was not wrong in doing this act. People were actually doing something to provoke him into doing this.
No, not really, sir. What happened was, yes, people went out of the way. Again, it was kind of insinuated by the government only. They arrested two people from the peaceful protest. They were just doing the satyagraha, and they were taken to jail, and people did not like that. They did wrong there. Yes, the people of Amritsar there at that time were wrong. But what was then done? It was asked to General Dyer to impose martial law. The way it should have been, people should have been informed well in advance that no social gathering should, and there should be sufficient time given. That was not given. It looked as if it was planned, a step by General Dyer to teach a lesson. It was to kind of just put down the rebellion that was kind of growing in our country. The satyagraha which was taking place, it was just to dismantle that.
So how bad was it? How many people died on that day?
Yes, there are different accounts actually, sir. General Dyer or the British government report, it was somewhere around, they put a figure in and around 350-400, whereas Congress says it was much more, in and around 1,000. It was indiscriminate firing. If you just how Congress has put this number, why there is discrepancy, was 10 minutes of firing was done. Almost 1,500 to 2,000 rounds were fired in a closed space. We can all understand the casualty cannot be just 400. So that's the sad story of Jallianwala Bagh.
There is something good about Amritsar, and that's a sad day. People, yes, that's the day of the history. Tell us something good about Amritsar. And
good, sir. If you ask me, the most important thing is what I started with the Golden Temple. It's one. I should not say one. It's the most important pilgrimage. It's one of the most important gurudwaras for the Sikh community. And the beautiful thing about this place is it's not restricted to one religion. The Sikhs, of course, for them it is important. But all people from all faith come here and show their belief, and they kind of worship there, and वो अपनी आस्था दिखाते हैं सर. That's the good part which I like about Amritsar.
Right. So this is how Samir answered this question. Now, can you understand the difference between the two? Look, the earlier guy, the earlier introduction also had Amritsar in it, but he introduced some, that part, holy city of Amritsar and all. What does it tell me as an interviewer? It tells me he probably wants me to ask questions on this, right? So when he mentions chemistry graduate, that shows he wants to be asked questions on chemistry. So you drop hints for the panel to ask you questions. It will never be random. So understand this. Now, even if the earlier guy did not mention that holy city word, it does not make a difference. You do not think that holy city is holy here. No. It is just that he's emphasizing on it. Ask me questions on this because he's prepared. That earlier guy, he did not mention it, but even he needed to be prepared on Amritsar. He was not. So that was bad. Now he was prepared and he dropped a hint. I got into it. So it's not that he's like making a fool of the panel or manipulating it or no. Interviewers do like people who are well prepared. Why would I want to waste my time with somebody who's not prepared with things? So I like people who are prepared with their hobbies, with their native places, with their academics and all. I like to have a good interaction.
Welcome, Abhishek. Tell us something about yourself.
Sir, my name is Abhishek. I belong to Allahabad. My family has mother, father, and I've got a younger sister. And I'm a computer engineer. I graduated last year. Yes, this is it.
Okay. So, how many years did it take you?
Sir, I failed for 1 year. It took 5 years. It was bad because of multiple reasons. I cannot change my profile. So I'm a 5-year wala engineer. So I'm a 5-year wala engineer. Nobody can change that. But the thing is, I said just 3 sentences. Most of them were irrelevant. my father, my mother, everybody has a father, mother, and siblings here. What is so special in that? Allahabad was probably the only bright spot in that. He could have asked questions, he chose not to. And then I mentioned engineering, and obviously do not have great academic record. So, I mean, I'm not saying you cannot mention engineering, but without a great academic record, engineering, nothing much to speak about. It was a bad introduction.
Okay, welcome Abhishek. Tell us something about yourself.
Hi sir, my name is Abhishek. I'm a computer engineer. I belong to Allahabad, and my father is a banker. I am inspired from him to take up this job. In fact, I look up to him, and this is one reason why I'm here. And my hobbies are playing cricket and badminton, and I also follow lawn tennis. I love reading non-fiction, so I've read a lot of stuff, non-fiction and science fiction as well. And I love traveling as well.
Okay. So Abhishek, I see you have done your engineering in 5 years. Why was that?
Yes, sir. It's a 5-year engineering. I dropped the paper in my final year. That is a mistake. That is a very careless mistake. In fact, so there cannot be any excuse for something like this. But yes, I was not putting in the kind of effort that I had to in my engineering, and that is how it happened. So because that one paper in my final year, my engineering extended to 5 years. So yes, it was a mistake. I was getting a lot into sports and other extracurricular activities, and that is the reason why I did really bad in my academics. No excuses for that, sir, but yes, this is how it is.
But did you try finding some job out of your college?
No, sir, I was not eligible. I was not eligible for the job.
Okay.
Again, could you see this last part? He already kind of humiliated me softly by saying 5-year engineering, and then कहाँ से job लगेगी यार? When people who complete their engineering with 80% in 4 years, trouble finding a job. So he is asking a 5-year engineer, were you employed after that? I mean, that's like kind of humiliating me. कैसे कर सकते हैं? But yes, that is his job. So if I say no, sir, I failed, not eligible, and all. So yeah, it's bad, but I'll still try handling it. I'm like redoing it.
Okay. So after your completion of your engineering, did you try finding a job?
Yes, sir, I did, but unfortunately, most of the IT majors have this criteria of allowing you if you have scored a first division at least, that's 60%. Unfortunately, my score was not up to the mark because of the reasons I discussed with you, so I was not eligible, and I did not want to join a company, a substandard company, and waste my time over there. So I thought I would prepare for bank exams. As I already said, I look up to my father, and he's like very satisfied with his job. Is a good career, so I thought that probably I'll get into a bank, a nationalized bank, and start my career from there. So that is the reason why I stopped looking for IT jobs once I realized that I would not be able to get into an IT major.
Okay, fine.
So could you understand the difference? Look, I cannot change my profile. The fact cannot change that I'll be rejected by most of the people because I've got a very, very poor score. Fine. So I cannot do anything about it. The only thing that I can do is that I can tell them that yes, that's a mistake. I admit it. I realize it, and now I'm working to fix that. You're getting it? So there is no answer that can change the fact that you performed extremely poorly in your graduation. Hope you're getting it. कुछ नहीं change कर सकता. आपकी engineering 5 साल में थी, 5 ही साल में थी. It is the fact that you talk about stuff, the good stuff that you did in those years, something cannot serve as an excuse, or you can talk about the things that you've been doing after that. Admit it and go past that straight away. So rather than keep on coming with excuses and trying to justify it, say yes sir, it was a mistake, I did that, and just hope that he gets away from it, and then move to the further part.
Welcome Abhishek.
Thank you.
Tell us something about yourself.
Sir, I'm Abhishek. I belong to Delhi, born and brought up in Delhi. I'm a history graduate, and I belong to a business family. My father is a businessman, my mother is a homemaker. I love sports. I play cricket and badminton. and I read extensively. I'm an avid reader, and I've got a deep-rooted interest in reading about mythology.
Okay, that's great. When I look at your profile here, it says you have 7 years gap.
Yes, sir. I graduated in 2012. Sir, I was preparing for civil services. So I prepared for it very seriously. In fact, I wrote mains 4 times. I appeared for the interview also a couple of times, but unfortunately I could not convert it. So that is because of which it is like I'm appearing for this after 7 years of my graduation.
You wasted your 5 years completely.
Sir, no, I did not. It's 7 years. I did not waste it, sir. I read a lot in this phase of my studies for civil services. So the syllabus of civil services is such that I had to read a lot. Mm-hmm. And the good part was that while reading for my studies, I actually acquired an interest in reading. So I actually read a lot of stuff, including general studies, and then since history was a subject, I had to read history. Then gradually generated some interest in mythology and all. So all these things put together along with my reading and my preparation actually made me a better person. So I really feel that after all these years of preparation, having invested time in reading and all, I'm a better individual and a better future professional than I probably would have been 4 or 5 years back.
But I somehow don't see any relationship with bank. What value will it add in bank? Your reading of history and mythology, I just can't see any.
So there is no direct connection as such. But if I talk about let's say my reading and my knowledge of history, history gives you a broader perspective. Apart from just generating the knowledge base, if I talk about the benefits of reading history, it makes me more open-minded. It makes me analyze things. It makes me think and read critically. So I'm more open-minded now. I pay attention to details. So all these things have been added to my personality because of my interest in history. All this reading has given me this dimension.
Okay. So history and mythology, it's like it's little paradoxical, isn't it? Same person having interest in history and mythology. What's
yes.
your definition of history and mythology? Let me hear that.
So, if I put it simply, history is an account of facts. Mm-hmm. So, whatever is documented as a fact is history. Mm-hmm. And mythology is based on myths, on hearsay, on urban legends, anything that cannot be verified, but it's believed by people. It's more of a cultural thing. It's ingrained in us as faith. I would call it mythology.
Okay.
So it's not really two different things. The problem comes when we look at it as a dichotomous relationship. On one end is history, and another end is mythology. If you look at it in conjunction, then it gives you a lot of stuff. For example, if just to give you an idea as to why I'm interested in mythology, if you look at Lord Ram as the ruler of Ayodhya, so Ayodhya is a very small state. You would not have heard of any other ruler of Ayodhya. So Lord Ram is important for us because he's a part of mythology. Had Lord Ram being the ruler of Ayodhya as a part of history, he would probably have been very less important as compared to somebody like Ashoka or probably the Mauryan Empire or the Gupta Empire. So mythology that way is extremely important. History is important for a different reason. Mythology is important for a different reason. It's about faith and what you believe in. So that is how I balance.
What interests you more?
So both interest me. In fact, the alternative take on mythology interests me the most. Mm-hmm. Alternative take means that there is a story that we have heard about all the epics, all the epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana, and then there is an alternative take of certain people. So that part of mythology interests me the most. The part that questions the beliefs. So that is the part that interests me in mythology.
Okay, so you think on your own, or have you read some of the authors?
Sir, I like thinking, but yes, I have read certain books that were of this genre and they actually interested me. The one I read was Yuganta by Iravati Karve. Yeah. So it was basically it's Mahabharata, but it's not the story of Mahabharata. All of us know about that. So it's the human take on Mahabharata. So it is like if Mahabharata was real, had it happened, had it been history, so what would the characters of Mahabharata be like? So they are not like gods to us, they are like humans. And then she has analyzed those characters. And that sounds so logical, so rational. It gives you so much to think and learn from, that it actually is a wonderful experience going through it after having learned Mahabharata from the time when we were kids. So it gives you a different take on the same subjects.
It sounds interesting. Can you give me some bit from the book?
Yes, sir. what she has done in the book, and if I talk about this particular book, she has taken characters and talked about them. For example, let's talk about Bhishma. Bhishma was the patriarch. All of us know about the heroics of Bhishma, but she talks about the weaknesses of these heroes. So the problem with the way stories are told, especially in these epics, is that they depict people in either black or white. But all of us are shades of grey. That is what she talks about. So Bhishma also had his weaknesses. So she highlights them more to make it interesting for us. For example, she says that Bhishma is a failure. Bhishma is a failure for the simple fact that despite being all powerful, he could never bring the warring princes together, or for that matter, he could not stop the bloodshed or the war. So that's a failure on the part of Bhishma. He did everything that he could to kind of support the family, or did whatever was required, but never broke his vow. So if you look at that, it was a good part. To break a promise is not be good, but what is it worth if it still cannot stop the bloodshed and all? So he promised something, he pledged something, he did not break it, but at what cost? So these are the human traits. Had he been a little more practical, then probably the history could have been something else. But then it's not history, it's mythology. So that way it was interesting. So she discusses characters like that. So all the characters have been discussed like that, and that's the interesting part of it.
Any other such book you have read?
In fact, sir, I've read many. Another book that I liked a lot, it's again related to Mahabharata, is Ajaya. It's by Anand Neelkanthan. He has written a few such books. Again, it's the story of Mahabharata from the angle of the vanquished. All of us understand that history is a account of facts, but history is written by the victors. Fine. So if two people have a war, the one who wins writes the history, right? So history might be a little tweaked. So that is history, not history. That is the story of Mahabharata from the point of view of Duryodhana. So that is also very interesting. And it's not that he's just saying something. He says stuff with reason, with logic, saying how is that possible. For example, Duryodhana. Which king would want to name his eldest son as Duryodhana? Duryodhana. Du means it's bad. So it says that in all probability the name was Suyodhana, and it was made Duryodhana by the Pandavas. But since we consider Pandavas and Sri Krishna as our heroes, we'll never think about it. So it gives an alternative take on this, and it's very interesting. It makes us think, it makes us analyze stuff, makes us more open. So that is where my interest in all these things come from. So somebody said it was a long story. It was a long story because
he's a
profile. Think about that.
He's a history student who is very interested in mythology. He has already given me 2 takes on Mahabharata. I'll be, even as a panelist here, I am bored by listening to all your ingenious. Out of my 100 applicants, some 80 are ingenious. There is an interesting guy who has already done not so well in his life, as per my understanding. 7-year gap for me. However well someone justifies, I'm not very happy. But now he's giving me reason to like him. Why would not I give him a chance?
Dekho, he would not like my profile maybe. But what did I do? I made sure that I justified this 7-year gap by saying, sir, बहुत सारा पढ़ा और बहुत सारा समझा. I learned a lot. 2, said यार अभी भी history का background कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. Had he been a commerce student, probably would be more useful to a bank. And I said, sir, जो मैंने perspective develop किया अपना by having this keen interest in my subject, will be useful. What did I talk about? Think about that. Problem solving skills, open mind, critical reading. ये क्या है? I was selling myself. ऐसे बेचूंगा ना? There were so many things that I talked about. By reading a lot, I first gained knowledge. Then I could critically analyze the issues. I can take a decision. I pay attention to details. All these things have been added to my personality through my subject. That's history. Now, if it's geography, you cannot say the same set. But yes, there will be some intersection, and then you can do it for geography as well. Think about different things. Geography may probably will talk about, sir, मेरे को इतनी knowledge है about different countries and different states and all the parts of the world and stuff like that. Think about your subjects. If I can do it for history, history से मेरा कोई connection नहीं है. Then you can definitely do it for your own subjects. Think about it. There is no one concrete best answer to such questions जो मैं आपको दे दूंगा. नहीं. And the answer should be different for all of you. Ratnama, how would your friends and family describe you?
Sir, my family would describe me as a person who is very curious. I have interest in a lot of stuff. They would also tell you about me that I'm very sincere in my responsibilities. My friends would be of the opinion that I'm a very active and a fun-loving person. They would also talk about my interest in movies. I'm a movie buff, they would tell you. They would also talk about my interests in sports and cultural activities, especially in football and dramas, directing dramas, stuff.
So you act in dramas.
Sir, when I started in school, yes, I acted in dramas. But then my interest in movies, made me realize that I wanted to do something more, to create a drama. And where best to learn than direct a drama or direct myself. So lately in my college life, I started directing dramas. Some of the dramas that I directed is The Gift of Magi and Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice.
Okay, you directed Merchant of Venice.
Yes, sir. I directed Merchant of Venice.
Ratama, do you understand what critical appreciation is?
Yes, sir. I have an idea about it.
Can you, for us, do a brief critical appreciation of the major characters of the Merchant of Venice?
Okay. Sir, before launching into the critical appreciation, if you allow me to, do it vis-a-vis alongside the summary of Merchant of Venice, that will help me. That will help me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. See, you asked about the major characters.
Yes.
So, Merchant of Venice is majorly about 4 characters. The first character is Antonio, the businessman. The second character, Bassanio, his friend. The third character, Shylock. And the fourth character, Portia, the main characters. Portia, wife of Bassanio. Now, the story goes in like this, that Bassanio is a person who is carefree, does not have a lot to think about, and he does not think about. So his character does not come out as a very strong character. As a matter of fact, he is very frivolous with money. So he is not responsible with money. Antonio comes out as a very strong friend to Bassanio. Because whenever Bassanio needed money and assistance, Antonio was always there in front to help him. Now, in one of these instances, when Bassanio was to marry Portia, Bassanio needed a lot of money. Antonio did not have it because he had gotten invested in a business. So they borrowed from Shylock. Now, Shylock comes across a ruthless person as a person who is a businessman and as a ruthless person. Why? Because he asks Antonio that if Antonio is not able to pay back, he would ask whatever he wants. And when Antonio did not pay back or was not able to pay back because he suffered losses in business, Shylock asked for pounds of flesh from Antonio's body. So that shows his ruthlessness. In comes Portia, according to me the strongest character of the drama, the wife of Bassanio, who not only saves in a court battle, saves Antonio from the clutches of Shylock. When there was a contract written, still she was able to save Antonio, but also was able to incriminate Shylock in an act of where Shylock was the person who was wrongfully trying to cheat Antonio. She was able to do that when other judges failed, or when other lawyers failed. When other lawyers failed, Portia was able to do that. And being a woman of a 16th, 17th century, that shows a lot of character.
So, who's your favorite character of the play?
Portia.
Understandable. Right. So, this was it. Now, introduction was different this time. So, now if you look at it, this was an introduction, but the way I asked it was a little different. Now, just keep this in mind. It might happen. They can ask you, tell me a few interesting things about yourself, how your friends and family describe you. It can be some variant. So, do not be caught off guard in the sense that you think it's a different question, I'm not prepared for it. No, you know the stuff. If you looked at it, the essence still remained the same in his answer, but the way you put it, it becomes a little different. So probably he was planning to already express or discuss things like movies and plays and sports and everything like that. But the way he expressed it, my friends would call me a movie freak. I did this, I did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Became a little different, and that kind of customization would always be required. As I already said, there can be infinite possibilities when it comes to the situations of the questions in an interview. So just keep this in mind. So this is point number 1. 2, if you are mentioning something, for example, he talked about Merchant of Venice. Merchant of Venice, if you are mentioning it, it's a clear indicator for the panel to ask questions. Now, they might choose not to ask questions. It might happen, so do not feel disappointed about it. But the way he prepared for Merchant of Venice, you have to prepare about probably 100 things. You've got a month to prepare, so you have been preparing for long, so this is how you need to prepare. Induce them into asking about specific things. So when he named 2 plays, he was basically expecting questions in this. At times, what mistake you made is you tend to make is that you will name something, and then when they ask you questions, you're all gone. Sir, I do not remember. I read it long back. I directed, but I cannot remember. I can remember the characters, but yes, stuff like that. Number 3. I did not ask him a summary. Fine, I asked for a critical appreciation of that whole thing, which is a very different thing to do, and I'll say a slightly difficult thing to do, even when you are familiar with something. Look at the way he responded. What did he say? Sir, if you allow me to do this, then I can manage this. Now, who would say, no. Something nahi chahiye. If you're sounding reasonable, and the way he asked, it was just, even if I am one arrogant, one tough guy to handle, it will be very difficult for me to say no. Did I say something? No. Seedha come to the point. Then also he would have done the same thing. Alright, sir, these are the characters. But this is the way he wanted to start, because usne permission bhi le liya, nahi bhi liya, and he started like that. Otherwise, just think about it. How would you analyze something without telling them some bit of the story? Kuch na kuch to batana padega na. So he did that.
And it is logical too. That's logical too.
Connected people. Whenever you prepare answer to any HR question, just keep the skeleton in your mind. Do not mug it up. When you rehearse it, just keep the skeleton in your mind. So when I'm talking about my introduction, I have 10 things in my mind. I might choose to use any 8 depending on the kind of question they have framed, looking at the panel, the way they have asked, and the situation and everything. So the skeleton should be there. So if I'm talking about, let's say, plays and movies, so I've got that line in mind. Sir, I'm an avid follower of Bollywood. I'm a movie buff, whatever that is, but that is there. So you have to choose from that 8, 10, 12, whatever points are there, and then use it accordingly. So rehearse it, but keep it flexible in the sense that the question might come in any form. Keep that skeleton ready. So you should know which 10 things about me am I going to talk about. So out of those 10, 6, 8, 10, whatever